Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 6. Hope all of you are staying safe. So, let's get into what you need to do for this week. It's actually pretty light duty. I think you'll actually enjoy it. So, let's go on to what this week is talking about. Nicole Milikowski, she's an amazing woman. Very few people reach the rank of lieutenant colonel in the United States military. For those of you who've been in the military, I know some of you have, to say God bless you for your service is such an understatement. Uh, but it's extremely rare for anybody to reach that rank. To reach that rank as a woman, even more difficult. Not talking about sexism here, or maybe I am. It's just very, very difficult for a woman to get that rank in the military statistically. Next, she became the first woman in the Thunderbirds air show. For those of you who are not familiar with Thunderbirds, it's truly an amazing group of people. They do an air show with these world class aircraft, and you just have to be a grand master, really athlete to be able to pull that off. Furthermore, she served under two presidents, whether you're Republican or Democrat. She served under Bush and she served under Obama. So when both of those gentlemen know and agree on something, you know that somebody is truly outstanding. That they both said, this is a lady we need in the White House for sure. She did, unfortunately, however, get a disease. Some of you are very familiar with this, with called tick-borne illnesses, and she talks about motivation, emotions, and how to overcome obstacles. This is the main thing about your post. This is one of my favorite posts that you're going to do. So let's get to it. So read the text, take a look at it. But basically, what I want you to think about in terms of the post, it's great when you talk about what you've learned. It's great when you regurgitate the facts and the principles of the textbook. That is important. We want you to understand those things. The main thing I keep saying in this class, please, how is it that these principles can help you, motivate you, change you in some way? It's great when somebody says, hey, Todd, I remember who B.F. Skinner was from your class. It's 10,000 times better. Hey, Todd, you know what? I did better at my interview. I've been able to reach my goal for physical fitness. I was able to reach my goal with my relationship, with my career. I'm a little bit more motivated. I think a little differently about politics. I don't try to influence you to be Republican or Democrat or what have you, but hey, I'm a little bit more of a critical thinker. I think more critically with my children. These are the kinds of things I hope you get out of this class. Now, Acknowledgement Awareness Award, AAA. What do these things stand for? What are these things about? Okay, when any kind of motivation, I like to talk about awareness, being aware of who you are as a person. So let's take students, for instance. When I'm in person, hand out something like this. I ask you what kind of student you think you might be. Are you a lazy Larry, a late Leonard, a monopolizing Matt? Some people ask what a monopolizing Matt is. That's somebody who dominates the conversation, doesn't let other people talk. A complaining Carl, that's pretty obvious. An absent Adam, pretty obvious. A superstar. A needy Norm, always needing help, never can catch up. A pretty Polly, an average Andy, or a cell phone Susan. Now, if none of these categories pertain to you, fine, no problem. Then what kind of student are you? Or are you more than one? Think about that. You don't have to answer in the post, but this is an exercise that makes you aware of one particular aspect of your behavior. You're going to school, you're paying tuition, you want to do well, so it's good to know what kind of student you think you are. I'm surprised that throughout my career as a professor, how many people say average Andy? And of course, I'm thinking, this is your time. This is your tuition money that you're paying. You are here. Why would you want to be average? That's wasting your money, wasting your time. Don't you want to set yourself apart? Don't you want to get a return on your own investment? But again, what kind of student do you think you may be? A number of people say superstar. I say, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. So being aware, that's really one of the first steps in any kind of motivational theory. Now, One of the things that people make a mistake of are these terms on the left. I'm a superstar already. I can do it myself. I don't need help. I am motivated. You know, the kind of egotistical, I have it all figured out. I don't need to do anything. I went to the Museum of Tolerance years ago, and I forget the exact term, but one door said non-racists, I believe. And another door said racist or prejudice, something of that nature. The non-racist door or the prejudice door was locked. Nobody could go through it. So their point was, we're all prejudiced, we're all racist to a degree. Now, we can debate that all day long, but their point was, don't think you have it all figured out. Don't think you can do this on your own. Superstars, and this has been proven by science, and I'll get into that in a second, they believe that they need to grow. They believe that they need to delegate. They believe they need to master the basics. They need to believe they need to motivate others. Let me give you one example. I had the great pleasure of meeting John Faddis. John Faddis is considered the world's greatest trumpet player. He's been playing for over 50 years. He got me backstage at the Hollywood Bowl. I'm not saying this is a name drop. He's just a very famous trumpet player, musician. Loves jazz, loves the blues, obviously. And I asked him, do you still practice after 50 years? Can you still improve? He said, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He says, I'm always critical of myself, always trying to improve. Frank Sinatra, surely you know who that is, or maybe you don't, was considered the world's greatest singer for decades. He said in his 60s and 70s that he still practiced. He still wanted to improve. Tiger Woods, at the top of his game, changed his swing. Even though he was at number one in the world, he said, I still wanted to improve. Superstars feel like they can always grow, and they feel like they need to surround themselves with people who can help them. Okay, then there's ego involved and task involved. My apologies to anybody who's a Paris Hilton fan, but this is the example I'm going to use. So, Paris Hilton here, maybe you've heard of her, comes from the famous Hilton family. She became very famous basically for being famous. And those of you who may know, she actually ended up spending some time in jail. Now, here's a woman who inherited a great deal of money from her family, became famous, became a celebrity. Her life was handed to her on a platinum platter. You would think that she would make good decisions, be thankful for everything that she has, but she kind of, made some mistakes, and we all can. But even with all the benefits that she had, she ended up spending time behind bars. On the right there is Daniel Day-Lewis. Maybe you've heard of him. He's won more Oscars as Best Actor than anybody else. He was asked by Steven Spielberg to play Lincoln, to play Abraham Lincoln. He said, I will, but you're going to have to wait. He's telling Spielberg he's going to have to wait. And Steven Spielberg said, well, why? He says, well, I need to take care of my kids. I promised my wife that, I have to do this with the children, and I got to think about my family. I mean, he was taking a break from work for his family. He got a reputation for being selfless. He doesn't think just about his career. He doesn't think about just himself. He thinks about other people. And the awards, the fame, and all the benefits just kind of came naturally. Let me give you another example of this. So I talked about evidence. Yale University did a study on West Point. For those of you who don't know, West Point is the number one military school probably in the United States. There's Annapolis, and we can argue, but it's definitely one of them. Very difficult to get into West Point. You need a recommendation from a senator. Now, they looked at who was going to get promoted faster. They looked at 14,000 cadets over 7 years. They asked a question, what do you want to do with your career? Students who said things like, I want to become a general, I want to get promoted as quickly as possible. And then there were students who said, well, I just want to serve my country. Who got promoted faster? Well, the people who said, I want to serve my country. They actually got further in their career because they're thinking about something outside of themselves. Now, here's Rudy Moore. The real Rudy Moore is on the left there. There's Eddie Murphy on the right, who played him in a movie. Rudy Moore was a comedian for decades, and he was having no success. And then later in life, in his 60s, he wanted to make movies. Of course, everybody said the same thing to him. You're old, you're not good looking, and you're fat. And quite frankly, at this time, this was decades ago, he's a minority. They said there's no way you're going to be able to make movies, and there's no way that they're going to be successful even if you do. He took all his money, borrowed money, bet everything on him, and his movies were successful. Broke a huge glass ceiling in Hollywood. My point being that he was thinking, okay, no excuses. I know I'm older. I know maybe I'm not the marquee, good-looking guy. I know that I have, and again, he really tried to treat his fellow actors, his fellow people, the people who went with him, with great consideration and great care. And he knew, okay, this could change things for African Americans. No excuses, also thinking about others. And of course, there's nothing wrong with being successful. But if you are going to be successful, how can it help others? Does it just help you, or does it help other people as well? He made people like Eddie Murphy possible. Because Hollywood then said, oh, well, I guess minorities can be successful. Desire to improve. I'm amazed at how many people don't really have a desire. They say they want to improve. They say they want to do things. I think I've told this story before that there was an actress that I knew. She called me up. She was very frustrated. She had 500 headshots, she said, on her desk, and she said they were collecting dust. I said, what do you mean? I just don't send them out. I don't send them out. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't know what's wrong with me. I said, I know what's wrong with you. You don't have a desire to improve. She got very upset. I want to be an actress more than anything else in the world. I said, no, you don't. I know you feel that way, but your behavior says opposite. You just admitted to me that your headshots have been sitting on your desk for weeks. People who actually want to improve in acting or in the business, they're sending their headshots out. They're hustling. I have a PhD in psychology, but I said, I do know enough about the business. You need to get out there and hustle. And if you're not, that means a lack of desire. So my question to you is, pick one area right now where you want to improve. Okay. Next, acknowledgement. Okay. Looking at and acknowledging what you need to do. It's great to become aware that I have to do these things, or what kind of student I am, or what kind of person I am. But then what are you going to do about it? Delay of stress on the left. I can't do any better than this. I've tried already. I can't handle anymore. I'm not strong enough for this. Versus, I'm going to record my behavior. I'm going to surround myself with people who can help me. I'm going to have no excuses. I'm going to set observable, concrete goals for myself that are numeric. Okay. Delay of stress, confronting stress. Okay. Also, immediate gratification. I don't need the change. I'm comfortable. I don't need anything more. I don't want anybody to bother me. Okay. Versus delayed reward. I know I'm going to be rewarded later. It's going to be hard now, but later I'll get the reward if I improve. If I am dissatisfied right now. If I want to accomplish more. It could be more money, but it could just be just helping other people. Whatever your goal is. And communicating with people. Asking people for help. Being charismatic. Talking. Communication is fun. These are the things, by the way, that successful people do. Are you measuring your success? Can you measure success? One guy came to the gym and says, Todd, I want to be a better wrestler. I said, yeah, that doesn't really mean anything to me. He goes, what do you mean? How many times are you going to come to wrestling practice in the next year? I don't know. How many competitions do you want to be in? I don't know. When you answer those two questions, let me know. Came back, I want to come to the gym 100 times in a year, compete 5 times, and be in the top 3. Now we're talking. That's measurable. Okay? Not name dropping. Here's Dr. Phil. He said he was driving in a car, riding in the car. His friend was driving when he was in high school. And they were speeding. There were 4 guys in the car. And they were speeding, having fun. They get pulled over by a cop. The guy driving gets out of the car and he leaves. Okay? Gets out of the car and he goes away. Now, the cop tells the other 3 guys to get out of the car, and the cop says to the first guy, "What's the name of the guy who ran away?" The guy said, "None of your business." Cop, boom, punched him, he fell to the ground. Went to the second guy. "What's the name of the guy?" Punched him, he fell to the ground. He asked Dr. Phil, in high school at the time, his name is Todd Johnson. He lives at 1025 Somerset Drive. I will take you there myself, whatever he says. He said that he wasn't going to tell the cop until he saw his 2 friends with a bloody nose on the ground. Point being, he says, superstars learn to change. Is there something you're doing right now that you need to change? What would that be? Be nice if you share that in your post. Is there anything you need to do to change? Mastering the basics. Basics means on time. You write things down. You do your homework early. You get off your cell phone. For a student, follow the syllabus. Think and repeat back. What is our weakness? Being aware of our weaknesses. What do we need to change? Communication. 60% of college kids say they are addicted to their cell phones. 71% of them say they sleep with their phones. 5.5 hours a day on social media. Is this a weakness? Chances are that it is, but maybe there's another one. Here's Kevin Costner. Most of you folks probably know who this is. Again, he was at a speech and managed to get there. He said that his goal was not to be a movie star. His goal was to be in a specific movie. He says when you have generic goals that mean nothing, then they mean nothing. He wanted to be in a goal. His goal was to be in a movie called Harry and Son. I could play the son, he thought. By the time he was offered the movie, and he was offered the film, he turned the film down because he had gotten so many other offers by that time, it was beneath him. Point being, have a specific goal, and if you do that, you'll probably surpass that goal. Sugar for your soul. If anything motivates people more than anything else, is that your brain actually changes if you eat a little bit better. Talked about this before. This is BDNF factor. And I eat sugar as well. But if you can reduce it, you'll be a little bit better off. Don't let people lie to you. The con artistry. We've talked about this before. This is Bernie Madoff. He conned $60 billion out of people. If you feel like somebody's lying to you, it may or may not be that they are, but it doesn't hurt to check it out. Finally, don't lie to yourself. I can wait. My partner's fine. I can't do it. I will not make that much money. My president is great. My family is perfect. When we say these kind of, things that are extreme, check it out. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but don't lie to yourself. For instance, which president said, let's give illegal residents work permits? Which president increased drone strikes in the Middle East? Which president massively cut welfare? Which president greatly funded AIDS medical assistance in Africa? I think you would be shocked to find out. I'm not even going to give you the answer, but you'd be shocked to find out. Your social media, what does your social media say about you? When you apply to any job, they check out your social media. I have a friend, won't tell you his name, but he called me up. He's very depressed. He lost a job because they saw something on his Facebook page that was very embarrassing. and they said, we're not going to give you the job. I said, dude, check your social media at all times. Please listen to me very carefully. Number one, please respond to at least 2 peers. I've emailed those of you who have not been doing this. I'm going to give you time to do that so you can get a higher grade. Number 2, at least 1 extra reference in your initial post beyond your textbook. Okay, that's important. Finally, the most important thing, how can these principles help you? It's great that you guys understand, the logic and the deductive reasoning and all this kind of stuff when it comes to critical thinking. The main thing that I want, like the example I just showed you, how can these principles help you? I showed you how critical thinking changed me in terms of how I vote. I will never tell you who I vote for, but I used to vote just by political party when I was probably most of you folks' age. Now, after experience, I realize that that's not the best thing to do. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be political. Todd, I don't care about politics. Okay, fine. I've already made up my mind about politics. Fine. Surely, in some way, these principles can help you in terms of your thinking, professionally, academically, maybe some way personally. One person said, hey, Todd, it helped me get more motivated to exercise. Whatever it is, think about it. How can these things help you? So for square one of opposition and for your future post and for your paper, the main thing I want is how can these principles help you in some way with your thinking or with your decision making or with your goals, okay? So that is what I really need there. Now, questions. You can email me. You can phone me, all right? You guys are going to continue to do great. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.